Lots of bikes to choose out there and lots of different categories. What do they all mean? Let's talk about a cruiser bike versus a comfort bike versus a hybrid bike. It's confusing. I'll help clarify. You'll probably still be confused, but I'll do my best. So, what makes a cruiser bike? I would say, number one, a cruiser bike is going to be a bike with a very classic design. So cruiser bikes have kind of a distinguishing look. A lot of people say it's like old Schwinn's. You know, it's a curved top tube. It's a bigger seat. It's bigger tires. It's wider handlebars. It's meant to do cruising. Cruisers typically are very simple. I would say most cruisers fall in the category of 1 to 7 speeds, although 630 does make 21 speeds. Generally speaking, you're going to see 1, 3, or 7 speeds on a cruiser bike. Moving into comfort bikes. Comfort bikes are exactly what they say they are. They're geared for comfort. And I think what makes, comfort different than cruiser is comfort bikes can be really a kind of a broader mix of style. But I think a lot of times with comfort bikes, you're going to see a step-through frame, meaning you can really just step right through to get onto the bike. They're going to keep riders in an upright position. There really isn't a distinguisher in terms of like the look of the tires. You could have thick tires or thin tires. I would say generally it's the frame. It's a lower swooping frame. And then in terms of the speeds, the range of speeds usually starts at about, I would say, 3 speed and goes up to 21 speed. You can see comfort bikes in a big range. The other thing is looking at the seat. You're going to see, obviously, a little bit wider seat, geared for comfort, no pun intended. And usually springs or some sort of elastomer spring, it's called, to make sure it really gives a good layer of shock absorption. And now looking at a hybrid is a little bit harder to identify because a hybrid is exactly what it says it is. A hybrid is a mixture of lots of different bikes. A hybrid might use the frame of a comfort bike, but the tires of a road bike and, the gear system of a mountain bike or something. And so a hybrid bike is for those riders that, they like certain elements of all these different bikes. But they don't necessarily want to buy that specific category. Like you might like the tires on a mountain bike, but you don't want a mountain bike, so you choose a hybrid bike because you want to get a different frame but with mountain bike tires. So there are lots and lots and lots of different types of hybrid bikes that exist out there. You'd have to scour, bike stores and the internet to see all the different types. So in highlighting the major differences between all these categories, let's say, so what makes a cruiser bike different than a comfort bike? I would say the frame is going to be different. You're going to see an easier step-through frame on a comfort bike versus a cruiser bike. The frame in terms of a hybrid bike, you may see similar frames between a hybrid bike and a comfort bike, but the frames of hybrid bikes generally will be different than cruisers. And when I say that, like a hybrid bike frame is going to typically not have the stylistic cruiser approach. If you see that, most people would put that in the cruiser category. And so let's see, looking at riding position, the riding position between cruisers and comfort bikes are going to be very similar actually. Both a cruiser and a comfort bike kind of want to put the rider in the most upright, comfortable, relaxed position possible. Whereas hybrid bikes, the riding position, again, is really across the map. I would say it's not necessarily focused on comfort or performance. So you might see some hybrid bikes that have really relaxed riding position, but you might have others that have really, performance-geared riding positions. On the tire side, I would say cruisers, you generally always see tires that are a little bit thick and fat and wide. And that's because cruisers are meant for cruising. The wider the tire, the more shock absorption, the softer the ride to the rider. Comfort bikes will also have wider tires, but not as wide as cruiser bikes. Generally, they're going to be a little bit narrower, a little bit more versatile, because comfort bikes are not necessarily geared for cruising, they're geared for comfort. So the designers usually try to find a balance between a little narrower tire but not too narrow where they won't absorb the shock, but narrow enough where the rider can still get roll and still ride decent distances on that bike. Now, looking at hybrid bikes, again, you're going to see tire ranges all across the board. You're going to see, 700C narrow tires up to, 26-inch, 2.125-inch tires, or sometimes you're even going to see 4-inch, really, really wide tires. So it's hard to identify with a hybrid. If you can't place a bike in any other category, it usually falls into the hybrid category. So I would say, the biggest difference between these bikes is, what is really how you use them. So I would say a cruiser bike, what is it best for? It's really best for rides under 15 miles, no more than 10 miles an hour, and you really just want to be kicked back, relaxed, and cruising. I would say also for a rider that's very aesthetically minded and they want something that looks very sleek, poppy colors, cruisers are a great way to go. For comfort bikes, I would say if your biggest concern is your body, how you feel, pain, comfort bikes are the choice you want to make. If you just want to make sure when you get on and off the bike, you don't feel pain anywhere in your back or in your knees, or you have pain in your normal life and you want to ride, but you don't want to experience that pain, comfort bikes are the way to go. So they're really geared entirely towards comfort. I would say cruiser bikes, they are comfortable, but they're not geared necessarily towards comfort. They're geared towards cruising. So a relaxed, soft ride. Whereas comfort bikes are geared to providing a riding position and a riding, arm position, leg position that's comfortable and relaxed to your body. And the distance and the speeds you can ride on comfort bikes varies because they're designed to accommodate different speeds and distances and terrains. On a hybrid bike, the difference really is if you kind of like the cruising element of cruisers, you like the comfort element of comfort bikes, but you don't like any one of those two, go to hybrid bikes. Hybrid bikes are going to offer a variety of a mixture of the different elements. Maybe you really like the fat tires on cruisers, but you like the riding position on a comfort bike. Well, you might find a bike you like in the hybrid category. A lot of times hybrid bikes are also geared towards the ability to, the versatility of the usage, meaning like it'll be able to be ridden on the street or ridden in the trail, whereas maybe a comfort bike is geared, just to be ridden on the street. Cruiser bikes are just to be ridden on the street. So hybrid bikes, for the rider that has a varying degree of needs, that should be a good choice. So I probably confused some of you more. I did the best I could. Again, hybrid bikes is a category where there's lots of different parts, lots of different options, different parts from different categories, things of that nature. Comfort bikes are just that, best for comfort, pain. Cruisers are best for the cruiser, people who just want to cruise. So if you need some help, look below, contact us, find our email address, shoot us an email, give us a phone call. We're happy to listen to your needs and discuss how we can best help you and fit you to the right bike. That's what we specialize in here. Also, if you want and you have an idea of what you like, feel free to visit our customizer on the website. You can choose a bike and design that bike to fit you specifically.